We have Sister Anum asking that she would like to purchase a dog to protect their house, because she said she lives in a large house, somewhat isolated from other houses, and at times her husband travels for work, so she would feel safer having a dog on the property. So firstly, is this allowed? And secondly, she read a fatwa that even if she were to get a dog, she cannot purchase the dog with money, because of a hadith that you cannot purchase the dog with money. So how can she get this dog? And I'm going to add another question here as well. Sister Rina says that she has a special needs child, and the doctors have said that a trained dog would help this child. What is the ruling on that?
وما أرسلنا من قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون.
So the answer is that we are all familiar that our Prophet ﷺ strongly discouraged owning a dog. It is strongly discouraged. And the hadith is Bukhari and Muslim, that our Prophet ﷺ said that whoever acquires a dog, or whoever owns a dog that he doesn't need for his cultivation, or for his sheep, basically shepherding, right? So basically the dog is protecting the sheep, or the dog is protecting the land or something, that whoever does not have a dog of that nature, whoever acquires a dog not for those reasons, then every single day the amount of good deeds, like the level of a qirat, or the amount of a qirat. Some have said the qirat is like the mountain of Uhud, some have said smaller or larger. But basically every single day a large amount of good deeds will be diminished from the good deeds that he is doing. So basically we are strongly discouraged, and this is the position of basically the vast majority. Now a lot of people, obviously this is not remember this is the rapid Q&A today, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but a lot of people are confused. Dogs are so cute, I want to have dogs, etc., etc. Look, sometimes we do not understand the wisdom of a Sharia ruling, and sometimes we do. And in this particular case, the max that can be said is that maybe because the saliva of the dog is considered najis. By the way, it's only the saliva of the dog that is najis. This is the strongest position. As for the body of the dog, the hair of the dog, this is not najis, but the saliva of the dog, whatever the dog licks, you cannot pray on that or wearing that. If the dog licks anything, you have to take that garment off and wash it, or wear another garment or whatever. And if the dog licks you, you have to wash yourself at that place before you pray, obviously. Otherwise, before that time, you don't have to immediately go and do that. So the point being that some people say that why can't we have a dog? And the response is Allah knows best. Really, we do not have a specific reason. Maybe it's because of the najasa of the saliva. Allah knows best. Whatever it might be, whatever the reason might be, the Quran has clearly allowed one category of dogs, and that is the dogs of hunting. It is explicit in Surah Al-Ma'idah that Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, مُعَلِّمِينَ تُعَلِّمُونَهُنَ مَا عَلَّمَكُمُ اللَّهُ الْمُكَلِّبِينَ مَا عَلَّمَكُمُ اللَّهُ, that the فَكُلُوا مِمَّا أَمْسَكْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ وَاذْكُرُوا اسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ, that the dogs that you have trained to hunt, you may hunt with them as long as you mention the name of Allah, and then you may eat from what they have caught for you. So the Quran is explicit that hunting dogs are allowed. When you have hunting dogs, you will be around them, you will be training them, they will be jumping all over you, they will love you as dogs do, and this is the Quran allows this, okay? So we have to be careful here that, we have to be careful about not going to extremes when it comes to the issues of dogs. Dogs by their nature are loyal and they're loving, and the fact that you're going to be training a hunting dog means it's more loyal to you than to anybody else, and this is explicitly allowed in the Quran. So a righteous man can have multiple dogs for hunting. It's not a matter of life and death, it's a matter of just pleasure hunting. You don't have to have a hunting dog, isn't just a matter of life and death. So the Quran allows a dog for a reason, and the Sunnah allows it for other reasons, and that is, for example, agricultural, protecting the agriculture, so making sure that it's any predators that are going to harm the prey, so harm the crops, any animals that come, and also the shepherd dog, right? So a person who has a lot of sheep, so the dogs basically help in gathering the sheep or whatnot. And once again, these dogs will be like all the dogs that we know in our times, like the loyalty of dogs, the love that the dogs have. They're going to be jumping up and down. They're going to be licking the master. This is the way that it goes. That's the way that every single dog is, and the Sharia and the Sunnah allows for that to happen and considers it to be permissible. Now, based on this, a number of ulama have said that this means that any time there is not even a haja, but there is some benefit, because see, again, hunting dog is not something that is a matter of life and death. I mean, if you really needed to, you would go, shoot it with a bow and arrow if you wanted to. And you don't have to be starving to go and get to a hunting dog. You can have a hunting dog for sports. You can have a hunting dog as just a passion, like you just want to. It's not something that you have to be dying or a very dire situation. So if it is allowed for all of this, then many ulama, and this is the majority position, have allowed having dogs for any legitimate need. The famous Shafi'i scholar al-Iraqi, he says in Tarh al-Tathrib, the famous commentary he has, that our Shafi'i scholars, they said that it is allowed to acquire a dog for anybody who wishes to hunt, or anybody who wishes to guard vegetation, basically plantations and cultivation, or anybody who wishes to use as a shepherd dog. So these three. Then he said, our madhab has differed for any other reason, a fourth reason. For example, to guard the house, for example, right? Or for other types of purposes. And some scholars of our madhab said it is not allowed because these three are mentioned explicitly. However, the majority said, and this is the correct opinion, that you make analogy about these three and any haja, anything that is needed that a dog can help you with, you may acquire a dog for that. And the Shafi'i scholar Al-Khatib al-Sharbini as well, he says that it is allowed to acquire a dog for anybody who will use it to hunt, or anybody that will have any type of protection that is going to be for the cultivation or a type of the animals. And it was then also allowed to train a puppy or a dog so that he can then be of benefit to the master, to the owner. So all of this is very clear, and therefore based on this, if you feel that a dog is going to be something that will give you, because again, the dog is in many ways far better than an alarm, because it has a sense when a human is coming, and it's going to bark and scare the person, and it has other benefits as well. And therefore, if you feel that a dog is something that will help you, and definitely the other sister asked about a dog for a child of special needs, there is no question, a seeing dog for a person who cannot see, or a person might have a type of issue, maybe ADHD or whatever, having an animal will make that person calm or whatever it might be. There's no question that this is more important than a hobby of hunting through the dog. So there's no question that in such a circumstance, dogs would be allowed. And of course, a seeing dog or a dog that is for a special needs child will be inside the house, and therefore all that should be done is there should be one area of the house that is dedicated for the salah, and the dog should not be going over there. And before you pray, make sure that your clothes and your hands do not have any of the saliva. Other than that, really you should try your best to not have it inside the house for the protection dog. But in case you need to, and in case there is a haja for this, make sure that there is an area that is definitely pure to pray in that, and you would be allowed to have that. Now, the other question that she asked is that she said that she came across a fatwa that even if the dog, because apparently she's been reading the fatwas, and understandably she came across one that said she cannot purchase the dog, she must somehow acquire it or train it. And you have heard correctly, there is such a fatwa. In fact, this is based on the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is muttafaq alayh, that the Prophet ﷺ naha an thamanil kalbi. He forbade the price of a dog. Okay, what does this mean? It means that he considered it to be something that should not happen. You should not give money for a dog. This is the interpretation of the majority, that you should not purchase a dog with money. And this is the standard position of a number of schools. This is the position of the Shafi'is and the Hanbalis. The majority position within the school, there are dissenting voices. And by the way, every time I give you a school, realize that you will always find within that school one or two or maybe more scholars that are disagreeing. I'm giving you like the default or the main. So the Shafi'is and the Hanbalis, by and large, they said that. They took this literally and they said, even if you need one of these dogs that are allowed, you need to either acquire it from a previous owner that no longer needs it and he cannot sell it to you, or you need to get an untrained dog as a puppy and train it yourself, or have somebody come and pay and train it, because you're allowed to pay the trainer, but according to these two schools, you cannot pay for the price of the dog itself. And they again base it on this hadith that he forbade the price of the dog. Now, the other two schools, the Hanafi school, they said that the dog is basically an animal that it's a beneficial animal in other circumstances. Like all other animals, it can be bought and sold. Just because you cannot own dog doesn't mean you cannot buy and sell for a legitimate reason. And the Malikis as well, they said that any dog that can be acquired legally can be sold legally. A seeing dog or a dog that's a protector dog or any dog that is now trained to do something that the Sharia allows, right? So whatever the Sharia allows, it should be allowed to buy and sell it. That's the Maliki ruling here. And this does seem to be the stronger ruling, especially in light of the hadith in Sunan al-Nisa'i as well. There's an authentic hadith that our Prophet ﷺ naha an thaman al-kalbi illa kalba saydin. He forbade the purchase of a dog except for a hunting dog. So the exception is in the hadith itself, that a hunting dog may be purchased and sold, no problem. And therefore, to conclude this question, you may purchase a dog for any legitimate reason, not just those two or three mentioned in the hadith. Any reason that is a reason that makes sense, that is going to make your life easier for you, a seeing dog, anything of this nature, or a protection dog, anything that will help you in your life and to make it easier, it is permissible to acquire such a dog, and it is permissible to purchase such a dog with money as well. The only thing that we said, you have to be careful about the issue of the najasa of the saliva of the dog, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
يا من أجبت دعاء نوح فانتصر وحملته في فلكك المشحون يا من أحال النار حول خليله روحا وريحانا بقولك كن